Hello and welcome to another Excel with Eric. I'm Eric Dewey, your host, and today we're going to be talking about keyboard shortcuts. I've done a lot of spreadsheeting in my time, starting with Lotus where everything was keyboard driven, and I've just gotten to where using keyboards can move me around my spreadsheet quite quickly. So a lot of people may have difficulties understanding some of these keyboard shortcuts, so that's why I've made this video. So let's take a look. Okay, so here we have a listing of some of the common shortcut keys or keyboard shortcuts. So we'll start with the function keys here on the left. Now F1 is your help key. If you tap F1 it brings up Excel help. You can then type in whatever you want to type in to search for. Maybe I want to look at cell protection. And when you hit enter it'll search office.com and give you all of the articles that deal with protecting cells. Now personally for me I like to just use Google and I'll type in Excel cell protection for instance, and it will bring up a listing of different either videos or websites that will tell you how to do it. But F1 does work well in Excel. Now F2 is your edit key. Obviously you can double click on a cell, you can click up here, but you can also just hit the F2 key and that will then bring you into edit mode. If you notice down here in the bottom it says edit, and then you can make whatever changes you need to the cell. F4 is your redo key when you are not typing in a cell. So for instance, maybe I want to italicize something and then I want to italicize another thing. F4 will just automatically redo whatever the last thing you did was. When you're actually typing a cell reference though, it will allow you to turn that cell reference into an absolute reference. And basically by hitting F4, it will put the dollar signs in to help lock in that cell. Each time you tap F4 it will put the dollar sign in a different place. Here it's not on the column but is in the row. In the column, not the row, and then turns it off. So you can kind of cycle through all of that. So that's your F4 key. F5 is your go-to key. You press F5, you can either type in a cell reference, say C5, and it will jump there. Or if you have a range name, like I happen to have here, you can click on it and choose OK, and it will jump you to that range name. F6 will take you up to your ribbon here. You tap it and it will bring up all of the keyboard shortcuts. So if I wanted to bring up the formulas ribbon I can press M and that would show me formulas. So if you didn't want to click on it you can use the F6. F7 of course is your spell check. F9 is calculate. Now most of the time you won't need to worry about F9 because your Excel sheets are programmed to automatically calculate. And what calculate means is the moment you change anything in a cell, it recalculates every cell in the worksheet. Sometimes though, if you have a lot of data, it takes a while for the calculations to happen. So you can actually turn that off in your options. Under File and Options, there is a place where you can turn off your calculations. Here under Formulas, Workbook Calculation, if you choose it manual, then the cells will not update unless you hit the F9 key. Okay? Could cancel out of that. And so that's what that does. You'll see the word calc down here on your status bar when it tells you there's stuff that needs to be recalculated, and that kind of reminds you to hit F9. F11 will create a chart out of your data. We looked at that in my charting video. And F12 is the same thing as hitting Save As. It's important to note that a lot of these commands work the same in other Office products as well. Now over here in this column we have all of the stuff that's specific to Excel itself. So for instance, Control semicolon, that will automatically put in today's date. So Control semicolon, boom, today's date. Real handy if you're just typing it in. Control apostrophe will copy whatever is in the cell above it. So for instance, if I'm over here and I hit Control apostrophe, it will duplicate the cell above. So again, a quick way when you're typing so you don't have to take your fingers off the keyboard. Your home key will help you get to column A of whatever row you happen to be in. So if you just tap the home key, it will jump to column A of that row. Okay? If you click the end key, which is right below the home key, that puts you in end mode, and if you look down here you see end mode. And what that tells you is whatever arrow key that you hit next, the cell cursor is going to move in that direction until it reaches the end of that range. So for instance, I'm in end mode. If I were to hit the right arrow, it's going to keep moving until this cell, column F, because after that it's all blank. So I hit the right arrow. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Look, column D is blank, so that's why it stopped at C. So end mode just allows you to move up and down in a particular direction. For instance, I'll go back into end mode. There I am. I press the up arrow and it takes me to this cell because after that it's blank. So that's what end mode does. It keeps moving in the direction until it reaches a cell that is the opposite of whatever it was where it started. So if there's something in it when it started, it keeps moving till it finds a cell where there's nothing in it, and vice versa. Page up and page down, which are also next to the home and end key, they just take you up and down a screen at a time. So if you have a handful of screens of data, the page up and page down key are often a little bit faster than just using the scroll. Holding down the control key and tapping the home key will always take you to cell A1. No matter where you are in the spreadsheet, it will always jump you to A1. Oftentimes, when I'm done working in a large spreadsheet, I'll get in the habit of hitting Control Home and then Control Save so that whenever I open the sheet, I'm always right there in cell A1. Control and End, END, will take you to the last cell. The last cell is as far to the right of the spreadsheet and as far down as the spreadsheet goes. Now realize if you had a bunch of data and you deleted that data by tapping the Delete key, the spreadsheet still goes to those cells even though they're empty, and it may take you farther than you expect it to be because there was data there at one time. Control and arrow will move you in that direction. It's exactly like turning on end mode and then hitting an arrow key. So again, for instance, if I hit Control and up, it's going to take me to the top of this range of data. If I hit Control and down, it'll take me to the bottom. Incidentally, if you control down again, you'll notice that we're at the very bottom cell of column E, 1,048,000, etc. So if you keep going and there's nothing to stop it, it's just going to go to hits the very end. Similarly, if I hit Control right, it takes me to cell XFD. Again, Control Home takes me right back to the beginning. Control Page Up and Control Page Down will move you to other sheets in the workbook. So if you're jumping between two sheets, it's a lot of times easier to hit Control Page Down or Control Page Up. And then, of course, our favorite one, Control Z, is undo. So if you did something you didn't want to do, like delete, you can hit Control Z and that will undo. These are some very common keyboard shortcuts, and I find them useful every day, especially these maneuvering ones. When you get comfortable with this, you'll be zipping through large spreadsheets in no time. You know, a lot of people will just page down, but you can hit Control down arrow and shoot all the way to the bottom. Those kinds of things. Well, there you go. There's some keyboard shortcuts for you. The Control up arrow, Control down arrow will definitely save you a bunch of time, so just get used to using those, as well as Control Home and End and some of the other things that I talked about. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and stay tuned for more Excel with Erik. Thanks!